What's up, gang? In composition, one person's is another person's.
Interesting.
Well, I forgot to start the video properly. Here we go. Welcome back to another cool manga animation tutorial. But instead of animation, we are gonna do composition. In this video, I'm gonna teach you how to change this which looks boring to something like this. Well, before I start the video, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button right now. It's rare to find a channel who teach you from absolute basics. Subscribe and be part of the gang. Without wasting time, let's jump right into the video. Well, for the beginners, what is composition in the first place? Let's dive into learning that first. Composition in After Effects is about blending different visual elements together to create a seamless scene. It's like creating a collage where all the pieces fit perfectly together. For example, think of a movie scene. Let's take Spider-Man 3 where Tobey Maguire is filmed in front of a green screen. The green screen footage and a separate background, like a bustling cityscape, are brought into After Effects. In a composition, the green screen is removed and the actor is blended into the cityscape, making it look like they were actually there. Yes, in this particular scene, Tobey was actually there. But I need an example to explain this concept. Similarly, if you take a black and white manga panel and blend it with a colorful background, you import both images into After Effects and place them in a composition. Using tools like blending modes, opacity adjustments, and color correction, you can make the manga panel blended in with the background. And as I said before, composition has preferences. In this following panel, I loved 3 compositions and I rendered each of them separately. Let me know which looks the best. Now I'm pretty sure you guys would have understood what composition means in After Effects. Let's head into the tutorial. Create a new composition with the standard landscape settings. If you're really a beginner and don't know how to create a composition, you can check out my previous tutorials where I've went in from the absolute basics. But I'm pretty sure 90% of you know how to create a composition. After creating a composition, import any custom background you like and import the manga character. Here I've already masked Fubuki, who's the manga girl here. I've pre-composed the layer as well. I've covered masking concepts in previous videos too. Hold up, why won't you teach how to mask a character? Should be your current thoughts. Well, this tutorial is a composition tutorial and masking is usually required for animations. If you want to learn masking, check out my previous tutorials for detailed explanation. Back to the tutorial, I currently have a composition created. Manga character imported, masked, and pre-composed, and a background layer to which I'm gonna blend the manga character. Once you have this setup ready, we are ready for the composition part. First up, head over to Effects and Presets and search for Drop Shadow. What does Drop Shadow do? If your background contains a light source, it's natural that the subject will receive shadow on its body. Drop Shadow lets us do this. Select your subject layer, in our case it is Fubuki. Then double-click Drop Shadow to apply it. Or you adjust any of the Drop Shadow settings. We'll add all the required effects. After we add all required effects, we can tweak the settings with ease. Search for Set Matte. Add it to the Fubuki layer as well. I'll explain about Set Matte in future tutorials. It's not necessary to know how it works. It's pretty hard to explain. Search for CC Composite. Add it to Fubuki layer. After you add these 3 effects, we can go ahead and tweak the settings. I'll be adding more effects in this tutorial later on. The very first thing you've to remember here is to turn on Shadow Only and turn off RGB Only. Then change Composite Original to Behind. Original is the main panel which is plain white. We don't want it on top of every other layer. So we change this to Behind. Now you'll see shadow appearing on the whole subject. But we don't want that. The shadow will not cover a subject entirely. Now comes the use of Drop Shadow. Observe the background and notice where the light source is coming from. In the left, you can see the traffic signals and cars' headlights. That's obviously the light source in this background. In the right side, we have a building and no light is emerging from it. Now we know where the light is coming from. We can go ahead and adjust Drop Shadow settings. Adjust the shadow direction just like me. Make sure the knob is opposite to the light source. Once you've fixed the knob, change the distance of the shadow. This is your preference. 135 looks good to my current composition. Now you can see these sharp replicas on top of the subject. We don't want that, it looks odd, right? To fix this, adjust the softness settings under Drop Shadow. 74 was a perfect fit. You may increase it more if according to your preference. You can adjust the opacity to make the shadow darker or lighter, but I'll keep it around 45%. I'm adjusting this a bit so I can satisfy my eyes. Now hover over to Effects and Presets bar and search for Tint. Tint is basically adding a color to the manga panel, nothing much to explain about it. Here you have two options, either map the black color to any color you want or map the white to any color you want. I'll show you how both of them looks. When you map the black color to a nearby color, the tint gets applied on majority of the subject. This is not what we need. Reset and map white to the nearby color of the streets. Now it looks more blended than the previous option. Now adjust the tint amount to something around here so that the color gets applied in a mild amount. Let's add lighting now to make the scene more blended. Right-click on the right side of the layer and hover over to New. And click Adjustment Layer. What does this layer do? Well, think of a bread. Now if you apply a jam or butter over it, you get a layer on top of the bread. This layer covers up the whole bread. In our project, the adjustment layer acts as the butter to the bread, which is our fubuki and background layer. Now every effect or filter we use will be directly on the adjustment layer. After creating an adjustment layer, hover over to Effects bar again and search for Lens Flare. You will have 3 default lens type to choose from. You can choose whichever you feel looks good. To me, I feel the orange flare matches this scene well, so I'm going with the 50 bar 300mm zoom. Now you'll see this small icon which you can drag and keep wherever you want. Drag it toward the light source. Once you do that, you can adjust flare brightness as well. Instead of top left corner of the scene, you can also take it to the center left. It's entirely your preference, but make sure it's realistic. The current scene looks good, but Fubuki looks a little more off compared to the background. We are gonna add another effect to the Fubuki layer. Search for CC Toner and add it to Fubuki layer. You might get this default color grading or something different as well. Change the midtones to your background color and change blend with original to around here. This got rid of too much of white and made it more blended. Now let's add effects to the background. Search for camera lens blur and add it to the background layer and not Fubuki layer. Be careful here. This will add blur effect to the background. Change blur radius to your preference and change the shape to square. The other settings are really small details which won't make much difference. I'd need an entire new video to explain about all these sub-settings. Now search for glow and add it to the background layer. This will automatically give a glow to the bright parts in the background, for example the traffic lights, light source from the vehicles, and so on. You can change the glow radius and glow threshold to whatever you feel looks good according to your panels. Watch me while I fix for mine. Now if you feel that the subject has too much white on her sides, you can adjust the toner's highlights to any of your favorite color. But I want to have the manga vibes, so I like to see the black and white panel a little. Now comes the final part, the final CC adjustments. If you don't have the Looks plugin installed, this is the highest amount of composition you can do. But I'm pretty sure most of the manga animators and editors own the Looks plugin. If you have the Looks plugin, let's get more into making this scene professional. Add Looks plugin to your adjustment layer and head over to the workspace. Add exposure, diffusion, lens flare if you like these kind of aesthetic edits. If not, just don't add it. Then add lens vignette, haze/flare, LUT, hue and saturation, and finally mojo. Now all we have to do is adjust each of them so it doesn't look overcomposed. We'll start from the exposure. You'll have two options, down one step and up one step. For our scene, it doesn't really look good because the background scene is already a night city. So we'll remove exposure. Go to diffusion now. There are various inbuilt presets. My personal favorite is Pop Hits, but for this scene, Black Mist suits better. Now click Lens Vignette. Choose Healthy Dose, which moderately adds vignette. You can change the subsettings if you feel the vignette is too much. Click Haze/Flare, and you have two inbuilt presets. You can try out both and see which looks better to you. Head over to Hue/Saturation. You can change the white ball here to orange or red, which matches the background. You can adjust the hue if you want your whole scene to be of a particular color. For example, I can tilt it to here to get an overall pinkish vibes. I'll keep it somewhere around here for the red vibes. After you are comfortable with the settings, head over to Mojo. In Mojo, again we have a set of presets you can try in. To be honest, the choice will be really difficult here because all the presets are good and it blends the character really well. So it's a matter of preference here. I'm gonna have the inbuilt Mojo with no presets. Now for the LUT, this is basically like the filters you add on Snapchat or for your photo edits. You can try out all of the colors and pick your favorite one. I'm choosing the blue Unity because it makes the scene look cinematic and not overcomposed. Once you are satisfied with the settings, click the check mark on bottom right corner. If you want to learn more about each of these settings in detail, Let me know in the comments section. I'm sure you all won't be interested to learn the history about each of these color correction settings. It's all trial and error until you find the best fit. And here is the final render. We changed this panel to a beautifully composited panel. There are still more to composition, but I'd like to keep this beginner-friendly. I rendered 3 different composition with minor adjustments. Let me know which one looks the best in the comments section. If you watched the video till here, trust me, you are the coolest Chad. You'll 100% become a pro manga animator. If you guys love this tutorial and want to see more such tutorials, hit the subscribe button and check out my playlist where I've posted manga animation tutorials in detail. And on the other hand, if you didn't understand certain parts of this video, feel free to let me know in the comments section specifying the timestamp of this video. I'll be happy to help. If you want more specific help with manga animation, you can join my Discord server. I hope this video was helpful enough. Until next time, this is Roni, signing off.